you can keep this under 12 minutes, I will pick up the poops in the backyard, and I will give you 60 cents worth of pennies. If we go past 12:55, since I have class at 1, I will literally turn off the camera and walk out.
Can I start this?
That was the introduction.
Hi,
this is my ultimatum.
Hi, this is Terri. Welcome back to my channel. Ray apparently did that lovely introduction. I'm running a little bit late today. It's Thursday. The good news is it's absolutely gorgeous outside. We have blue sky. Our air quality is decent. Last night we had a Whiskey Wednesday where we socialized with some friends out front. The sky was clear. It was shirt sleet weather, and we were able to see stars, and it was delightful. Wasn't it, Ray?
It was.
Even though we talked politics and the end of the world as we know it, but it was still absolutely lovely, which means today I'm feeling a lot more optimistic about where we are in the world and where it is that we're going, which is perfect for today's topic, because I really feel like we're coming to the end of September, which is the end of Q3 for 2020, and all of a sudden I'm thinking we're sliding right to the end of the year and into 2021.
We're sliding into 2021's DMs.
Well, is that good or is that bad? Because I kind of imagine sliding into home plate. There's this whole saying, it's like, would you rather slide into like death, into your casket or whatever, like looking pristine, or sliding in like all banged up and mangled and like super happy as can be and holding on to like a martini glass or something? And I'm hoping that we're not pristine. We've been seriously beaten up, but I'm hoping that sliding into 2021, we are like in a better place. I feel so naive about where I started 2020 with. I was so optimistic and hopeful. And sometime in December, I put together some 2020 goals that I revisit on a weekly basis and take note of any steps that I've been taking towards achieving them. Fortunately, they've been, I don't want to say vague enough, but despite the craziness of 2020, I've still been able to move towards and make progress towards some of these goals. There's a gal, Stephanie Sammons, who is out of Texas, who's a financial planner, and I was listening to her podcast late last year, and it was because of her that I was inspired to create these goals around professional, personal, health, money. I think those were the 4 areas, and I think I ended up doing 2 kind of health-related ones around self-care and friendship, and there were a couple around there. So every Sunday morning, I revisit those and just kind of do a temperature check on where I am with regards to those. And I know for a lot of you, your 2020 plans have gone completely out the window and the year has just gone completely sideways. And for a lot of people, it's not only just trying to tread water, but trying to not fall backwards. And I can totally respect that. At the same time, I think it's now is like a really great time in September to do a look back on what's happened during the year, and then kind of re-strategize about how to finish the year and think about 2021. I was inspired by this conversation in 2 ways. One, my friend Bonnie, she and I write notes to each other regularly. She lives up in the Sacramento, California area, just a couple hours away, and she just thanked me for bringing her into my Silk and Sonder circle, which is an unofficial Silk and Sonder circle. And if you have been living under a rock or are new to the channel, you probably haven't heard me talking about Silk and Sonder. Silk and Sonder is one of my portfolio companies, the companies I've invested in, and it's all about women's health and wellness. And she's starting, in mindfulness. And what Miha, the founder and CEO, is really focused on is really just mindfulness and awareness, but also creating community. And right now it's in the form of a monthly journal. So I've created a Silk and Sonder circle. So now once a month, I get together virtually with a couple of my girlfriends and we reflect on the previous month and kind of think about what we want for the next month. And we set up our journals and the habit tracker. And this is not like journal like you take notes like this is what happened today, although you can use it for that. It's you can actually use it however you want, and we all use it very differently. But Bonnie said she appreciated that I introduced her to this circle because her work is keeping her very busy. She's vice president of HR for a regional bank, and during the time of COVID, you can imagine, she's pretty busy. She's also a single mom to a now 20-year-old, and he's living at home and going to college. And she doesn't have time to really get out because of COVID and because of her job. And so her world has expanded because of this Silk and Sonder circle. So I suggested that we do a mid-month check-in with my Silk and Sonder circle. So we are touching base on Sunday morning, probably with mimosas, and we are gonna kind of reflect on the month. There's a point where we can kind of have some reflections for where we are, and then think about where we're going with the rest of the month. And then a couple weeks later, we'll get ready for October, and we'll do the same thing, but for the entire month. I was also inspired for this conversation based on, so the social media or the social platform that I've alluded to, and I will not name, that I pretty much am on 11 hours a day because I do virtual co-working on the space, and I co-work with amazing people from all around the world. One of the gals, we were virtual co-working, and we would been heads down for 45 minutes, and we were taking a 15-minute break. And I was like, God, I need an idea for this weekend's YouTube video. And so she said, well, you know, you've talked about goals, but you've also talked about, you know, she was trying to figure out, does she go down a certain path for one position or another position in her work? And this other gal, Casey, and I just asked a bunch of questions, just like, well, what is it that you're looking for? What is important to you? And both of us brought our different perspectives into the questioning, but we didn't bring our own agendas. We were really trying to get this gal to think about what it was she wants, where she's been, and where she wants to go. And so she suggested that would be a really interesting part of a conversation when you're talking about goals and objectives and life plans, both short-term and long-term. So when I got Bonnie's note about the Silk and Sonder circle, I thought that would be a great thing to be thinking about at a time when there's lots of instability. I mean, just so much instability around the world, not just here in the United States or in California or in the Bay Area, which is where I'm at. And so I am a firm believer in the path presenting itself. And so I told, when we had this conversation, I was like, you know what, whatever step you take, most of the time you're going to be able to step out of. Or you're going to see new opportunities present themselves that wouldn't have been there if you hadn't taken the step. And what I talk about in Piloting Your Life, which I should probably be promoting more, plug, is, failure should be our second favorite F word. And we all know what my favorite F word is.
Fuck!
And I've taught it to my children, and I taught it to them early, and they used it appropriately. So proud. Anyway, so with failure being a second favorite F word, when we try things, and this should be something that I will be thinking about as we're reflecting on 2020 and thinking about the rest of the year in our conversation, not only on Sunday with my Silk and Sonder circle, but also when we do the October, is how can I step outside my comfort zone? How can I take some more risks? How can I really push the envelope so that I can create new opportunities, and I can create a new path or steps to something that I hadn't even imagined? I've talked about, 3 years ago, this week, Jacqueline, my Tipsy co-pilot, and I launched my podcast, Piloting Your Life, and it's now on hiatus for a temporary. Well, maybe 2021 I'll pick back up on it, but this year is all about the YouTube channel. But who would have thunk that 3 years ago I'd have 117 episodes, I would have written a book, and now I have a YouTube channel and a really broad social media platform. I wouldn't have, but I wouldn't have guessed that I would be in this spot. But by taking little steps, by taking some risks with that podcast, from learning a lot from that opportunity and working with one of my best friends, opportunities presented themselves. So I challenge you to take some time to reflect, maybe with some friends, and in fact, do it with some friends, because some of our friends can provide us with perspective that we may or may not have, and may be able to offer up some questions or some challenges, because sometimes our friends can see in us things that we can't see in ourselves. At the same time, like we did in this particular conversation on this social platform, we're all relatively new to each other, so we weren't totally invested in each other or in each other's outcomes, and it made it so that we were able to ask questions and provide perspectives without being totally bought into it. So I see kind of an advantage to both, having someone who knows you really well, who wants you to succeed, versus someone who doesn't and doesn't have any preconceived notions about what's possible for you. So
find some random person on the street and ask them.
Well, we can't do that anymore with COVID.
Yes, you can. You just stay far away and wear a mask.
And then you're yelling.
Yeah.
Hey, so? Tony, what's your name? I'll put a link to that.
Hey, Tony, what's your name?
Hey, what's your name? Tony. The fuck you, Tony? Fuck you, Ezekiel?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Anyway, I'll put a link to that in if you don't know what that is. Anyway.
I'm so proud of my mother referencing memes and stuff.
I don't even fully understand what a meme is, but that's okay. Oh, you should totally create some sort of a meme with the dead squirrel that Zuko caught, and I had to scoop up with the dustpan today.
I took a picture on Snapchat that's gone now.
Oh my gosh! Well, it's still in the waste bin, so.
No.
Dead squirrel. Anyway, so
that's what's happened to our attention spans.
Squirrel, dead squirrel. Anyway, so I challenge you to just take a look back and also remark on what has actually gone well. So I challenge you to take a look back at 2020.
Just do your closure. It's 12:55.
Okay. So Ray's got to get to class. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Please share this with someone who you think might benefit from it. We are rapidly approaching 200 subscribers. Woohoo! And as always, take some risks, let go of perfection, and above all else, have some fun.